Hey, this is Crafty here. We're going to get through these next level steps for drums. This is part 3, the end of the trilogy. Let's go do it. Alright, I won't bang on about this being a part 3 in a trilogy anymore, but I will say if you haven't seen either parts 1 or 2, go check them out. Let's get into part 3. Alright, next on our list is reading chord charts. You're a drummer, why do you need to read chords? Isn't that for piano players, guitar players, etc.? Well, if you are reading a chord chart as a drummer, you're basically reading how many bars does this go to. And it'll probably mention if it's a verse or if it's a chorus, that type of thing. So yeah, reading a chord chart could actually get you to be able to play a song from start to end without ever having listened to it. So check out chord charts. Okay, so this next point's just a bit of general philosophy. As a drummer, I suggest that what you do is you don't only learn the songs that you like to listen to. There's some amazing drum techniques, drum patterns, and just awesome drumming that you wouldn't necessarily want to listen to. So while I'm on that subject, I would suggest that as a person, as a human being that exists in the world, is that you should try listening to a bunch of music that you wouldn't ordinarily try to listen to, because you'd be surprised how much cool drumming stuff can come out of doing that. So get on it, listen to some different stuff. Next on our checklist is, do you play with other human beings? If you don't, then you're missing out on a whole amazing experience that you can't get just by practicing by yourself. So play with some other human beings. Get on it, get texting. Okay, next on our checklist is, do you ever perform? I'm not suggesting that you just start a whole gigging career if you've never performed. What I would suggest is just play in front of a mate, play in front of a family member, or even if you're not ready for that just yet, well then how about get a pet and then pretend that they're an audience member and just play in front of them. If you don't have any pets, well then stuffed teddies will be acceptable. But yeah, if you would like to get out into the world of what I would consider gigging, but thinking that a full gig might be like a little bit too far out of your reach for the moment, well then the best way to be able to ease your way into that is checking out an open mic / jam night. They're actually around everywhere. And a quick plug for my open mic: if you live in South Australia and you would like a chance to just get up and play a few songs in front of an audience, well then go and check out craftymusicman.com, or just go and follow Crafty Music Man, and then every time that I run one of my regular open mics, then you'll find out the details there. Okay, next on our checklist is recording yourself. Have you ever recorded yourself before? If not, well then there's no excuse. Nowadays, we all have phones and you can hit record really easily. It's the best way to actually get the best representation of, wow, that's exactly what I sound like. When you're in the throes of actually playing drums, your brain is split into two. It is listening back to what you're doing at that moment, but you're also focused on executing. So yeah, record yourself and listen back. Sometimes it can be a little bit disheartening. It's like, oh, do I sound like that? But you know what? A lot of times you'll be pleasantly surprised. So go record yourself, have a listen. Okay, this next tip here is consciously knowing why you want to learn this skill. If you're a little bit unsure, well then you'll find yourself, like if you're practicing regularly and doing all of the right things to be able to improve your drumming, well then what's going to happen eventually, sooner or later, is you'll go like, hang a minute, I'm too busy with something else in life, or you get really frustrated with something that's too hard that you're trying to be able to get down. And so being really clear about what it is that you love about the instrument, it'll just get you through those times. Okay, we're nearly through this list. This one is being creative. Do you find that you're always just analytical and that you're just learning things as they're being taught to you, but never just going, I don't know, well, why don't I just try this, or why don't I just try that? I would say that that's a really important part of your evolution as an instrumentalist. And if you're feeling like, I'm just not really that creative, well then, here's a few go-tos. So you could just try swapping your hands around where you hit them on a drum kit. So instead of the hi-hat, just try hitting a bunch of different things around the drum kit. You could try the crash cymbal, or the first tom, or the floor tom. And I mentioned before about hitting rims and hitting other things, so that's one way of just trying to just see what happens. That's just your right hand, but what about your left hand? You better believe it, I had not rehearsed that. Okay, second and last on this checklist is, do you practice regularly? If you're not practicing regularly, well then you're missing out on a steady climb up the ladder of drumming greatness. So make sure you practice regularly. But if you're feeling like practice is going to be work, well then make your life just have drums in it as regularly as it can. Just do it regularly. For me, I noticed that there was a bunch of times in my younger days where I'd be feeling that perhaps my drumming skills were slipping because I was focusing too much on guitar or something like that. So I've got a pretty good regular regime of playing all the different instruments that I do, except for keyboard, damn it. So yeah, if you can just figure out a way of just incorporating it into your life so that you're doing it regularly, well, get on that. Okay, and the lucky last thing on this list is getting a one-on-one coach/tutor. I've picked up a lot of things myself over the years. I've also picked up a lot of things from mates of mine that are great musicians. But really, think about this. How are you going to get the best, most tailored to your needs type of advice and work through strategies? It's with somebody that can help you in a nice, comfortable, private environment where you have less distractions and that you can just get everything that you need to get you moving on up that greatness trail. That's a great segue for me to be able to just announce right now that I'm organising a bunch of one-on-one and group sessions just via a video call. I've got a lot of information on the subject, so just check it out in the description below. If you have any questions about this, well then private message me and then I'll let you know. Alright, so that's all of the tips with me sitting behind a drum kit done. Absolutely done, except I've got a quick bonus for you because there's this lovely guy named Brian who had just posted on the Crafty Music Tips Facebook page a few extra tips, and I thought, well, hey, these are really good tips, you may as well have them too. Okay, so Brian says, after 45 years of drumming and a few on the audio side of things, I can add, good ergonomics helps you stay relaxed and play efficiently. Now, Brian, you're totally on the money there. So for you watching at home, wherever you're watching, if you can just make sure that your stool is at the right height so that you've got a good posture. That way you're going to be able to reach all of the parts of the drum kit in the best way. Like, as if you're too far down, you kind of slouch, then look, if you're playing a 4-hour gig or if you're doing like an intense, really long practice session at home, you want to be able to feel like that you're good to rock for a really long extended period of time. The longer the better, right? So for me, I like having my thighs parallel to the ground, and then that way I'm not feeling like I'm too up high looking down on the drums, and definitely not feeling like I'm crouching down. Next thing Brian says is play to the size of the room. Now, I couldn't agree more, Brian. It's got to be one of the most important things for a drummer that's getting out there and playing gigs. If you're not playing to a huge crowd or a huge room, well then Don't play like you're at Wembley Stadium. For me, it's definitely taken a really long time, and I'm always still learning, always still evolving. If I'm hitting a snare drum and I'm hitting it as loud as I would like for myself, well then I'm not taking into consideration the other musicians and the audience. If you're on a really big stage, well then you can do almost whatever you like. But even still, play with dynamics, play with care, play for the song. So the next thing that Brian says is, if you're lucky enough to have a sound guy, listen to him. If he says you're too loud, you're too loud. Get over it. So I agree, Brian. If a sound guy tells you to do something, there's a really good reason why you should do what the sound guy says, because the sound guy's in control of how your sound goes out into the room. So do what the sound guy says. Okay, so the next thing that Brian says is, don't play like your favorite drummer at full pace in a huge arena on YouTube. Drum spill or bleed, especially open slowed hi-hats played loud into your vocal mics, can kill a mix in small and medium venues, and it may be the difference between getting a next booking or more likely not. Yeah, Brian, I couldn't agree more. I guess all of these suggestions that you're making to the person watching that are getting these tips, I guess it's really important that you just realize that you're a part of a team. Unless, of course, you're that good that you've got people paying tickets to watch you in a clinic, you've got to treat yourself like it's important what you're doing, but not all about you. And the last thing on Brian's list here is never underestimate the power of simple, solid beats. Brian, I can't agree more. Sometimes you just need a solid beat, and it's great to be able to do all of the fancy stuff, but you know, coming from another instrument, like if I'm playing guitar on stage, well then I would much rather have a good, solid, simple drum beat most of the time rather than somebody that can do really fancy stuff. It's bizarre, isn't it? Because me as a drummer, I like to be able to do some fancy stuff. It's like it feels good, and you know, it gives you confidence to be able to pull off some complicated songs. But really, what a good song usually just needs is a good solid drum beat. So thanks, Brian. That was some great extra tips that I've been really glad to be able to just chuck in here as a bonus. And if you thought any of Brian's tips were really good, well then let him know. Thank him in the comments below. There we go. Can you believe that? That is a whole entire list of a bunch of next level steps. So are you already at the next level? Did you not learn any one thing in that? If you learn a bunch of things, make sure that you don't go too hard too soon with too many things. But hooray, if there's some things that you still need to work on, well then that's going to be a good thing for you, so get cracking on them. So did I forget anything? Is there anything that you reckon that I could add to this next level list? If there is, leave a comment below. Leave it for me, leave it for other people that are reading the comments to try some extra things in their drumming. Okay, so just before I get out of here, the last thing I'm going to tell you about is I've got an ebook that I'm offering you right now. It's for free to download. It's called Actually, How Good Are You? Look, we're all on our different personalized musical journeys, and this is something that we need to regularly kind of check up. It's like, how good am I at this particular skill? And you know, it could be probably quite a daunting look, really. To give yourself a self-critique is, it can be quite soul-searching and quite... So what this ebook does is it just gives you the steps for being able to check up, well, where is it that I'm at now and where is it that I want to go to? So yeah, you could try this soul-searching yourself, but hey, it's all laid out in this ebook. The link is in the description. Just go click it and check it out. I hope it really helps you. And I gotta say, I've really enjoyed going through these next level tips for the drums. I'll see you in another video really soon. See ya.